Hello, my friends. It's Nick. It's the ASMR nerd. And the end of the year is approaching fast. It's actually kind of alarming how quickly it's coming up because I haven't even started my Christmas shopping yet. And maybe you're in the same boat, or maybe you've started but are looking to get a few last things, or maybe you just are looking to pick up something for yourself. But whatever the case, I'm here to share with you my favorite keyboards of 2023. As you may know, I look at quite a few mechanical keyboards on this channel. This year I reviewed or unboxed or built or otherwise had my hands on about 20 different keyboards. And I get a lot of requests to provide sort of like, a top keyboards of the year list each year. And I did that last year, and it was well received. This year I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm categorizing the keyboards into different groups that I think might be useful for you or that sort of stood out to me. Groups like best sounding keyboard, or best looking keyboard, or best budget keyboard. And in each category, I'll have 3 different keyboards that are sort of shortlisted, and then I'll give the award to one of those 3. And I think this is a good way to showcase that, different people need keyboards for different reasons, or enjoy, mechanical keyboards for different reasons. And so it sort of highlights those different factors, and it will hopefully be useful for you, but also hopefully relaxing, because this is going to be a keyboard sound bonanza. I'll be making all kinds of nice clicky clacky thocky sounds as we go along here, so hopefully this video is enjoyable and soothing and helps you maybe pick out a few items for those last few people on your list, those loved ones or friends, or for yourself. And in case those individuals aren't interested in mechanical keyboards, I do have something else that you might consider, and that is amazing, comfortable, beautiful, elevated everyday apparel from this video's sponsor, Into the AM. And they have such incredible clothing for you to check out and maybe pick up for this holiday season. In fact, they've got a great deal on for you right now. If you buy $150 worth of stuff, they will throw in a free pair of their boxer briefs as well. And I gotta say, their boxer briefs, some of the best I've ever worn. I'm not always on board with the boxer briefs. Some of them I find too tight, too constricting. Into the AM's perfect. I wear them all the time. I love those things. But maybe more to the point, I love all their stuff. They have amazing graphic tees for which they are well known. This one right here, so gorgeous, so gorgeous. Beautiful, bright, colorful designs. They're getting new ones in all the time. If you like skulls, they got lots of those. If you like something spacey, a little astronomical, they got lots of those. If you like something a little more abstract or trippy, they have that. Maybe you just like beautiful, natural images and aesthetics. They have those as well. They have vintage styles, they have modern styles. All their tees look incredible and they feel amazing. They're so soft, they're so nicely fitted. They're just a little bit stretchy. They have a very flattering cut and fit to them. And whether it's their classic tees, or their vintage tees. They're all fantastic, and they're super duper easy to care for. They come pre-shrunk, so you can just throw them in the wash, throw them in the dryer, and you don't even have to think about them. But it's not just tees. Like I said, they have those boxer briefs, super comfy. They have all kinds of fall and winter wear now, hoodies, joggers, outerwear of various kinds, Henleys, just really comfortable stuff. And all of it looks amazing, and all of it is really easy to care for. And all of it is available for 10% off if you use my link, which you can find down at the top of the video description. That's 10% off your entire order at Into the AM. And yes, that does stack with whatever sales or promos they might have going on. So I encourage you to click on through that link down below. Check out what Into the AM has for you or for your loved ones or friends for this holiday season. And if you order that $150 worth of stuff, no one's going to know if you keep those boxer briefs for yourself. They are free after all, and they are super duper comfy. So check it out. And if you do order through that link, you will also be supporting me and this channel here, which I appreciate an awful lot. So thank you to those who have done that, and thank you to those who do that. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate Into the AM for sponsoring today's video. So hey, we've got you covered. You want awesome clothes? We got Into the AM. You want awesome keyboards? That's what I'm talking about right here, right now. So I think I laid the groundwork, so we might as well just jump into it here. The first category that I have here is best budget keyboard. And I'm going to try and hopefully keep track of the many boards I've got in front of me here. So best budget keyboard. Budget obviously means different things to different people. Mechanical keyboards really run the range in terms of price more than ever now. You can get some mechanical keyboards for like as cheap as like $25 sometimes, $20 maybe at the very low end. Crazy cheap. And they can go up to wildly expensive. Some people spend literally thousands of dollars on bespoke, handcrafted mechanical keyboards. So it runs the range. But for me, I'm categorizing budget as around $100 or less. I think that's the price range, sort of in that $100-ish or a little bit less range, where you can get really great value and pretty much all the features that you could want at a reasonable price. And so that's where I think a lot of people are probably looking at buying as well, rather than at the sort of higher price brackets at like 150, 200, 300 price brackets. So the three keyboards in this budget category all come in around $100 US or less. And if I had to pick one feature that was really hot this year, that categorized, or that sort of encapsulates mechanical keyboards in 2023, it's got to be gasket mounts. Gasket mounts used to be purely the territory of the upper end of enthusiast keyboards. Now you find them right down into that budget range, the sub $100 range, indeed even down into that $50-ish price range in some cases. And the first board in this category definitely demonstrates that. This is the Blitzwolf BWKB3, and for anyone interested, I will have links for all the keyboards that I'm featuring in today's video down below in the video description. Some of those are affiliate links that might support the channel, others aren't, but You can find that all down in the video description. The BWKB3 is a budget-minded keyboard. It is currently available for around that $100 mark, but I have seen it down as low as about $70, depending on what the sales are doing. And for that price, you get a very solid board, plastic chassis, PBT keycaps, Gateron G Pro yellow switches, a gasket mount. And for those who maybe don't know what a gasket mount even is, it just means that the plate and PCB assembly are mounted in such a way that they're kind of sandwiched between squishy bits of foam or silicone, but usually foam, and that provides a softer, bouncier typing feel. It means that there's some flex and some softness to the keyboard, which ultimately provides a deeper, thockier sound, and that sort of dampened but still springy feel that's so desirable amongst keyboards these days. It's all about that thock. And so at its price point, the Blitzwolf BWKB3 has all that stuff, plus the full RGB, plus tri-mode connectivity with wired connectivity, Bluetooth connectivity, and 2.4 gigahertz wireless receiver connectivity as well. So it's kind of got everything you could want. Oh, and it's got the hot swap sockets, so you can easily pull out those switches, pop in new ones. The aesthetics, might leave something to be desired for some people. I would say they're sort of polarizing, perhaps, but hard to fault the feature set and the feel and sound of this board at its price point. It turns out that the other nominees in this category share a very similar feature set. The second one in this category is the Zoya GMK67, sometimes sold under other brands, but Zoya is a common one. This is a very inexpensive kit out of China. I have on it here some custom keycaps, which are very fun, but the GMK67 itself is kind of a budget darling this year. Lots of people discovered this board, and it's the centerpiece of many ultra budget custom builds, for good reason. It does come as just the kit, so no keycaps, no switches, and that kit is currently available for around $55 US. So the cheapest I was able to find it, although I have seen it for as little as about $35 US. That's really cheap for what you're getting. You're getting a 65% kit with a gasket mount, full RGB, lots of dampening foam. You get a dedicated rotary encoder here, hot swap sockets, all that good stuff. So around $50, $60, very solid value. And then of course you get some, inexpensive but good quality switches, like maybe some Gateron G Pro yellows, and some inexpensive but fun keycaps, and you have yourself a really great custom build for under $100. On this board, I have some very quiet switches. These are the Gamma K Griffins. Gamma K Griffins. They are a light, tactile, ultra quiet switch. And honestly, I really like the sound of this thing. It's probably too dampened for some people, but I think it sounds phenomenal. certainly at its price point, this is a killer combo and a really fun little board, fun kit, because it is really just the kit that you're getting, and then you're supplying your own switches and keycaps. The third nominee for my favorite budget board of the year is this one right here. Now, you might not have seen me do a video with this because I didn't, but I did unbox it on one of my Twitch streams, and I was immediately impressed, and so was everybody else on the stream. This is the Yunzi AL71, and while the other two nominees in this category are plastic, this one is a solid chunk of beautiful aluminum. Incredibly gorgeous aluminum. As you can see, this is in red, but it's available in a bunch of different colorways. And it shares all those same features as the others. It has hot swap sockets, it has RGB backlighting, tri-mode connectivity with the wireless. It's even got side lighting. This illuminates to cast some light on your desk. And of course, it has that incredible aluminum chassis. It's really solid. Listen to this. A pretty incredible, quality given the price. Now, I will say, this regularly retails for around 160 bucks. At least that's the regular price on UNZ's website. However, it seems like it's pretty much always on sale, discounted to around $100, or I've seen it for even less than that. I've seen it down as low as I think about 90 sometimes, but at the time of recording, it's about 100 bucks. It comes with some really nice keycaps. It has that gasket mount, and it sounds phenomenal. Very different than that Zoya, with those very soft, dampened keystrokes. Here we've got a lot of clack, but also a decent bit of thonk. Definitely a sharper sound though. But overall, a really strong package at the $100 price point. So out of these three, which one am I picking as my best budget board of the year? It's a hard call. They're all good, and there were actually quite a few others that were in the running for this category, but I did have to narrow it down. Ultimately, I think in the spirit of the budget part of the category, I'm picking the Zoya GMK 67 as my budget keyboard of the year. It's hard to beat 35 bucks for a kit like this. That is ridiculously cheap. And yeah, it doesn't feel as weighty or as nice as something aluminum like the AL71, but with the money you save buying, inexpensive kit, it gives you the option to get the keycaps and the switches that you want, and then have a fully custom build. It's always a matter of preference whether you want to do it that way or buy a pre-built like this. If you would rather have a pre-built, I think the AL71 is an extremely strong choice, and I guess I would give it to the AL71 if you're preferring or favoring a pre-built. But if you don't mind picking up a kit and putting it together yourself, then I think the Zoya GMK67 is a killer option, and so it takes my budget keyboard of the year award. So, moving on, the best portable keyboard is my next category. What do I mean by portable keyboard? Well, I mean something that is compact in its form factor so that you can easily take it with you places. Use it, in the cafe, use it at work and at home, use it on the couch for your media center. Basically, a keyboard that is easy to move around and that is wireless. That's the other important factor for this category. So, yeah, keyboards that are compact, lightweight, and wireless. And there are quite a few options in that category this year as well. The first that I'm going to show you here is the Low-Free Flow. The Low-Free Flow. This is a keyboard that was kickstarted by Low-Free a few months ago. It's now available just to purchase. You've not seen a video with this one yet, but you will very soon, hopefully in the next week or so. I've been using this one quite a bit. I've actually been taking it to work and using it as a daily driver there. It has a neat trick, and that is it's really slim. Really slim. Check it out. It's a very low-profile keyboard, and it uses custom low-profile switches from Kale. They're called Kale's POM switches. POM, which is the material, the plastic material from which these switches are made. It's a nice, soft, self-lubricating plastic, and it's quite desirable for switches. And Low-Free has two flavors of this switch: a tactile, which you hear here, you hear here, and a linear, which you will hear in the review. So they are very nice switches. They sound really thocky for a keyboard of this size. Low-Free managed to get a lot of thock out of this thing. Listen to that thock. Even the Spacebar is thocky. Also, you might notice, nice aluminum construction. Feels very premium, looks really nice, and a very compact 65% form factor. Of course, wireless, although this one only has Bluetooth, no 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection. But overall, very slim, very svelte, feels nice and solid, and not too heavy considering. Also in this category, I am including the Zoya from the last category, because this thing actually has a pretty small footprint and is not all that chunky. And it does have that tri-mode wireless connectivity. This thing will be a perfect living room keyboard if you want to have something for your media center. It's fairly lightweight, it's fairly inexpensive, has all those features you want, and it feels and sounds really good. And you can easily throw it in a backpack or something as well, and it would fit just fine. The third keyboard in this category is a little bit bigger. It's a 75% layout. That is the Yunzi YZ75. This is the chunkiest of those three keyboards in this category, but I just really like it. I wanted to include it somewhere, and this seemed like a decent category for it. Could you throw it in a backpack? Yeah, you totally could. Would you throw it in a backpack? I think it's a little less appropriate for that than these others. But if you want the extended functionality of a 75% with, the F row and all that, then the Yunzi YZ75 is a very solid choice. It's a really nice sounding keyboard, and it has all kinds of those features that you would want, like the RGB, the hot swap sockets, the tri-mode wireless connectivity, and it's got, I would say, a solid weight to it, but not like overwhelming weight to it. And it was just one that, I don't know, I liked it a lot this year, and I was trying to think of what category it would sort of make sense in. This seemed like a reasonable one. Plastic construction, so it is lighter and easier to transport than something like Yunzi's alternative, the AL71. Feature sets, very similar between these two. Price points, fairly similar as well. Obviously, the layouts are a little different, but the AL71, definitely a keyboard that stays on your desk just because it weighs a ton with all that aluminum, whereas the YZ75 could definitely come with you on your adventures. And so, between the three keyboards, the YZ75, the GMK67, and the Low Free Flow, I'm giving Portable Keyboard of the Year to the Low Free Flow, because this thing, it really embodies portability, but elevates it with a gorgeous design, amazing build quality, and incredible sound. It is definitely the best sounding low profile keyboard I've ever used, and the best sounding portable oriented keyboard I think I've ever used. It just looks really nice. Again, like beautiful aluminum chassis. It's so slim, and it even has a really fun kind of edge light in here. You can't really see them that well, but right here you'll see it much better when I get that review up for you. But anyway, Low Free Flow is my portable keyboard of the year. So, moving on. This is an extremely competitive category. The best looking keyboard of the year. This is, of course, also an extremely subjective category because aesthetics are just about the most subjective thing. And I actually ran these keyboards past my brother just as I was kind of building this list. And I linked them to him. And, and he, let's just say, my opinions and his opinions of which keyboards look good and don't, they diverge quite a bit. But that's okay. This is my list, not my brother's list. But anyway, you may or may not agree with me, is what I'm getting at. But I think these are all pretty neat and visually special for one reason or another. The first on my best looking keyboard of the year list is the Keyboom Phantom 81. This is one that I reviewed quite a ways back earlier in the year, and it really impressed me. I never heard of Keyboom before. I didn't really know what to expect from them, but this absolutely made me pay attention to them. And I actually do have another Keyboom keyboard that you'll see at some point. It's a kit that I've been really looking forward to building. I just need to make the time to do it, but hopefully I'll be seeing that in the not too distant future. But this one, the Phantom 81, is so called because of its clear construction. It is made with this transparent acrylic, so you can see all the details of the PCB through the back there. You also note this gorgeous brass weight here, or something. It might actually be aluminum. I don't honestly know. I can't remember. It's probably aluminum. I feel like brass would probably be more expensive. Anyway, whatever it is, it feels really nice. And it looks killer. And of course, that transparent aesthetic wraps around the front as well. We have these transparent, sort of smoky keycaps. And even the switches are transparent as well. They are Keyboom's own crystal switches. This thing, just like the others we've looked at so far, kind of has it all. It's got a gasket mount. It's got full RGB hot swap sockets, tri-mode wireless connectivity, rotary encoder, all that good stuff. And it feels premium as heck. It's got a lot of weight to it. It's very solid. I've used other transparent keyboards before where the shell case felt quite hollow, a little cheap. This is not the situation with the Phantom 7 or Phantom 81. This thing really does feel premium, and it sounds fantastic to boot. So, got that wonderful thok to it. But the most striking thing for me about the Phantom 81 is just how gorgeous and unique it looks. Not a lot of other keyboards use this color scheme, have such incredible attention to detail with the accents, the weight on the back. Even the PCB, as you can see, matches the color scheme. So, really nice looking board. But I received this in a year of other very nice looking boards, and so giving the Phantom 81 a run for its money is this beauty from iQnix. This is the Super Tilly 60. Now, this comes as a kit from iQnix without the keycaps, without the switches. So bear that in mind when you're looking at this and when I'm talking about the aesthetics. I chose these keycaps for it, and the keycaps, for those wondering, are MT3 Cyber from Drop. But I chose them because they match the aesthetic of this keyboard so well. We've got this big chunky aluminum piece up at the top here, which is actually a storage compartment. You can keep USB receivers or USB sticks or a little brush or something up there, whatever. But that has this really unique look to it, and it's very tall on the back, as you can see. I've got fingerprints all over it, unfortunately, but it really stands out, this sort of industrial design, sort of cyberpunk looking kind of way, which is why I think it matches these keycaps so well. We've also got this like semi-detached rotary encoder here, which has this really chunky thok to it. But super satisfying. And of course the whole thing is finely crafted and finished aluminum. This is the black colorway. It's also available in silver, white, I believe, gunmetal. And they all look amazing. It does pick up fingerprints pretty easy. I will say that is also the case for that Keyboom Phantom 81 I showed you earlier. It also picks up fingerprints super easy. But I guess that's just the price you pay for being beautiful. You're also high maintenance. But a really lovely design from iQnix with their Super Tilly 60 this year. This is also not the last you will see of the Super Tilly 60, because you will be hearing it very shortly in the next category, but we'll save that for next, the next thing, because we have to round out our best looking category here. In the last slot here for best looking this year, I am nominating the Wind Studio Sign 65. From the front, this thing looks pretty simple, fairly minimalistic, but it's got a lot more going on once you start looking at other angles. From the side, we have this beautiful sculpted edge here, where it kind of comes under like this, and then this underslung back section. But when we look at the back is when it really shines, because we see it's got this incredible steel weight with these gorgeous ripples on it. If I bring it in closer, you can probably see it's got a little sign of X graph etched into the aluminum there. And And that is, of course, this keyboard's namesake. It is the Sign 65, named after, the trigonometry function, we'll say. I don't know what the proper word is. The mathematical concept, trigonometry concept. And that aesthetic, it carries all the way through this thing, right into the interior. The PCB of this board is like a chalkboard black, like a matte chalkboard black. It has all kinds of trigonometry equations and figures printed on it. So this thing is truly beautiful inside and out. And it's available in a handful of lovely colorways. This is I can't remember what kind of green they call it, but it's a very, very pale green. This is also only available as a kit, so the keycaps that are on here are, an aftermarket choice. Although I will say Wind Studio did send these keycaps to me for use with this board, but if you were to pick it up, you would just get the kit, no keycaps, no switches. So you can put whatever you want on there. These, for anyone curious, are the EPBT Glacier keycap set, which I think look really nice with this sort of very pale, like glacial green kind of color. This thing also sounds phenomenal. Little preview. But again, we're going to be looking at this and listening to it very shortly in the next segment, next category. So I won't overdo it here. Anyway, it's a looker. It is stunning. Oh, did I mention it is a heavy chunk of aluminum? You probably figured that out just from the look of it. But yeah, this thing is solid aluminum. Listen to it. Super solid. Except for, of course, that steel weight on the back that just looks so gorgeous. So, man, that has 3 heckin' gorgeous keyboards, 3 real lookers, in my humble opinion. And I had a really tricky time picking my favorite of them in terms of aesthetics. But I think if we're talking aesthetics purely, I have to give it to iQnix's Super Tilly 60. This sort of industrial, slightly cyberpunk looking design combined with the MT3 Cyber keycaps. It just really does it for me. It might not be for you, but something about it just works for me. And I think it comes together in this really beautiful package. And I think the overall design here is the most interesting aesthetic design, with this big, chunky back piece here. This, rotary encoder separated out like this. And then this HHKB layout, which is also quite uncommon. You don't see that so much. All combines to make this thing a real stunner, and my favorite looking keyboard of 2023. So the next category is perhaps the most important or relevant for an ASMR video, and that is the best sounding keyboard of 2023. Another extremely competitive category. I had a really hard time whittling this one down. We've already listened to some phenomenal sounding keyboards here at very reasonable price points. We had that AL71. Sounds lovely for its price. We have that GMK67. Very soft, very dampened, but quite unique sounding with those Griffin switches. Those Gamma K Griffins in there. But neither of those made the shortlist. The shortlist for best sounding keyboard actually repeats 2 of the keyboards from last category, as I mentioned. First on the list is once again, the Iqnix Super Tele 60, my favorite looking keyboard of the year, is also one of my favorite sounding keyboards of the year. I'm just going to remove this piece here so that it doesn't fall out while I'm holding up the keyboard making sounds with it, because that would not be very relaxing. But in terms of sound, this one is pretty hard to beat. It's pretty hard to beat. Listen to the beautiful marbly sound. This is just like the visuals in all these categories, a highly subjective category. I really like keyboards that have both a clack and a thok, if that makes sense. I like a nice clack thok. So my favorite sounding keyboards are those with that nice tap, that ticka-taka, but also that nice low thok. And the Super Tele 60 with its SOTC raindrop switches, which is what I've got in here, absolutely hits those notes. Of course, it is just a kit, so you could put whatever switches you want in here and whatever keycaps you want on here. And both of those things are going to quite strongly influence the acoustic properties of the keyboard. So in one sense, it's kind of hard to award best sounding keyboard award to a kit because it's so dependent on what you bring to that build. But at the same time, this particular combo of the Tele 60 with the SOTC raindrop linears and these MT3 Cyber keycaps is undeniably one of my favorite sounding keyboards of the year. So, I have to put it on the list. It's just how it is. If I was restricting this to pre-builts, obviously it would be a different list. But I'm going with a very broad definition, I guess, of keyboard. Well, not of keyboard, but of what's eligible for this category. Similarly, in the last category, we had the beautiful Sign 65 from Wind Studios. Not just a looker, but also a sounder. Sure, we'll go with that. Just give this a listen, y'all. Just give this a listen. I think this exemplifies perfectly what I mean when I say marbly. Because when you think about marbles, you think about they have that clack sound when they, hit together, that clack. But they also have a deeper kind of thok, not like my knee, that's a crack. A kind of a thok, we'll say. From these two pieces of heavy glass kind of bumping into each other. And I think this board really nails that marbly sound signature with such a pleasing clack and a very pleasing thok. I'm sorry, did I say, you know what I just realized? I screwed up. I was saying that the Iqnix board had the SOTC raindrop switches on it. That is not true. The switches you are hearing on the Iqnix board, my goodness, it's late. I'm getting tired. The switches on the Iqnix board are the TTC Ace linear switches. TTC's Ace linears, which are a very lovely sounding linear and were the switches on my keyboard of the year from last year, iQnix's own OG80 Wormhole. It's my favorite keyboard of 2022. So those are the TTC Ace switches. Here on the Science 65, these are the SOTC raindrop switches. My apologies. But they are also a gorgeous sounding switch. And just like with the iQnix board, this is a kit, and so it's going to be strongly influenced by what you put in it. Obviously, that's going to have a strong influence on the sound signature and the aesthetics, really, for that matter, too. So, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be including these kits in this rundown, but again, I cannot deny that this is an absolutely sublime sounding keyboard. Also feels great. Feels fantastic. My third keyboard in this category is one you haven't seen yet in this video, actually, and it's one that you didn't see in any video on my channel because it's another one that I unboxed live on stream. And this one is also a pre-built rather than being a kit that I put together myself. This is the Modern 97 from Melgeek. And it is this large 96% layout. It's got a plastic chassis as opposed to the others, which in this category, which were both solid aluminum. This has a very fun, colorful plastic chassis. And to look at it, you wouldn't necessarily think that it would sound all that amazing. But I was really impressed with the thockiness of its sound signature. Let's give it a listen. It has a bit less of that clack, but a bit more of that thock. A nice deep thock. This is gasket mounted, just like the others. Has dampening foam and all that good stuff in it. Also, for what it's worth, significantly cheaper than either of those other two in this category, being sort of enthusiast grade kits made of solid aluminum. Both the Tingly 60 and the Sign 65 are around $300 a piece for the kit alone. Whereas the Modern 97, I think, comes in around 150-ish. I'd have to double check that. But for a pre-built that includes the switches and keycaps and all that. So it's almost an unfair comparison, actually, you know, in terms of price ranges and categories. But I guess for that reason, the Modern 97 should be commended just for being in the running with these other boards for my favorite sounding keyboard of the year. The switches featured on this board are Kale Box Plastic switches. They call them the Box Plastic switches. As far as I know, only Melgeek uses those. I actually have experienced the Box Plastics once before on the Mojo 84 that I looked at last year from Melgeek. So, but they're a good switch. And this board has good thock. So, of these three, which is my favorite sounding keyboard of the year? Well, it's gotta be the Science 65. As I was saying, I think this keyboard exemplifies what I'm looking for when I say I want that marbly sound, I want that clack thock. This particular combination of the kit, the switches, and the keycaps really do it for me. Each impact just feels so satisfying, so tactile, even though they're linear switches, of course. This nice smooth action right to that clacky thocky bottom out. I just love just touching this thing. I want to keep pressing buttons on it, which to me is always a sign of a pretty phenomenal keyboard. So, Wind Studios Science 65 gets my award for Best Sounding Keyboard of 2023 in this particular configuration. But a good portion of the acoustics are no doubt due to the case and the kit itself, the way they've engineered it, and the acoustic dampening and all that good stuff. So that brings us to my final, well, second to last, but sort of last real category, which is Best All-Rounder. Best All-Rounder. Now, these keyboards are those which maybe weren't my top pick in any one other area, any other category, but do a lot of things very well. You could say a jack of all trades, master of none, I guess. That sounds a little harsh. These are keyboards that offer a very consistent, really solid experience all around, especially for day-to-day use. These are keyboards that I found on my desk a lot. Just because there's well-balanced keyboards is maybe another way of putting it. They just sort of serve my needs across the board at various points over the course of the year. So we just finished looking at Mel Geek's Modern 97, but I'm going to trot it back out again because this board has actually been on my desk pretty consistently for the last few months. I obviously have a lot of keyboards to choose from, but this is the one that I kept gravitating back towards. Part of that is, of course, because of how it sounds. It's got that nice thockiness to it. Also how it feels. It's very just satisfying to type on. Part of it is due to its layout. It's got a very practical 96% layout. I've been doing a lot of data entry lately, so having that numpad makes a lot of sense for me and for many others as well. I know many people really aren't interested in the more compact form factors. They really want something with that numpad, so it's another reason why I think this is a great all-rounder. Also, it's got the RGB, it's got the hot swap sockets, and it's wireless. Another reason why it's very well rounded. So, Mel Geek's Modern 97, a very solid all-rounder candidate. Very similar in that regard is NuFi's Halo 96. My knees are just really cracking tonight. The Halo 96 from NuFi, that same 96% layout and a very similar set of features to the modern 97 there. NuFi, of course, makes lots of really well-considered, well-balanced, well-rounded boards. The modern Halo 96 is no exception. This has all those bells and whistles that you want, including the gasket mount, the hot swap. Actually, I don't think this one does have a gasket mount now that I mention it, but it's got the hot swap sockets. It's got some really nice keycaps in a unique profile. It's got a beautiful ring light that runs all the way around the outside. And it's just a really solid all-around package. And it sounds pretty darn great too. These are fairly strong tactile switches on this board here. They are NuFi's own Rose Glacier switches, I believe. It's a really strong tactile pop. But just a very well balanced, easy to recommend keyboard with a nice aluminum frame on top, plastic on the bottom, and they look really, really sharp as well. So, NuFi's Halo 96, a very solid all-rounder option. And the final one that I'm going to pull out as an all-rounder is one that I showed you all earlier, the Yunzi YZ75. Again, I find it a little difficult to articulate exactly why I keep wanting to include this board in these lists, but when I think about boards that I think are just solid and well balanced and sound good and look good and just have the features you want at a great price point, this one just keeps coming to mind. You might wonder what's going on here. This is just like a spacer blocker thing. You can pull it out. It's just like frosted acrylic, and put switches and caps on here to actually make use of these 4 sockets here. But you can also put in this acrylic spacer, and then there's sort of like a stencily cover that goes over it, then the light diffuses through it. I don't know where the stencily cover is. I think I lost it. So, but it's just an aesthetic thing. But anyway, it's a solid all-rounder if you want something that's a little more compact. You're not interested in the numpad, but you still want something that basically has all the functionality that you might need. This is a really solid choice at a great price point, often available for under $100, around that $80 price point. A very strong contender, and maybe should have been in the running for the best budget category, but it's pretty hard to deny the AL71 in that category, given its phenomenal build quality for its price. I did not include the AL71 here in the best all-rounder category because I don't necessarily know that it's a super flexible board for, like, if you wanted to take it places. It's it's wireless, but it's very heavy. It's just a giant chunk of metal. It's sort of a sit on your desk and stay there kind of board. And also, I think for an all-rounder, many people prefer having at least that F row, and some of those extra keys. So, but these categories are always a little arbitrary, or inevitably, I should say, a little arbitrary. And, I had to make some tough calls. Speaking of tough calls, my favorite all-rounder, the best all-rounder keyboard of the year for me in 2023 was the Melgeek Modern 97. Like I said, this has found a long-term home on my desk, which, is saying a lot when I have this smorgasbord of amazing keyboards to choose from. I am deeply spoiled for keyboards, so something that earns a place on my desk over a long period of time is something special, even if there's no one standout feature that makes it really super special. It's mostly the package. It's the full meal deal. It's the best all-rounder. And that brings us to the end of the formal awards, but I do have one more special shout out. It is a category with only one nominee in it, and that is because I made this category specifically for this nominee. I just want to call attention to my favorite key or spacebar, pardon me, of the year. The best spacebar of 2023 has to go to NuFi and their Ghost Bar. Their Ghost Bar. Their Ghost Bar is available on, I believe, all their Halo keyboards now. It's here on the Halo 96. I also have it on the Halo 75, but I'll just let you listen to it here on the 96. Listen to this thing, you guys. Listen. It's as much about how it feels as how it sounds. It has a weight to it. And a heft to it, and a thok to it that just blows the competition out of the water in most cases. And those who watch my reviews or unboxings regularly, you know that I'm picky about the Spacebar. You know that I always say it's one of the hardest things to get right from the factory, on these pre-builds. And it's true. Like, oftentimes, Spacebars kind of suck stock. A lot of these keyboards that I really like, they don't actually have really nice sounding Spacebars. For example, this beautiful and otherwise amazing Keyboom Phantom 81. That spacebar ain't good. I mean, it's fairly average, I guess, but it's just not anywhere in the same league as the Ghost Bar. Now, what makes the Ghost Bar so special? It has some silicone dampening inside it, and some other plastic like structure underneath inside that provides it more density, more rigidity, and some sound dampening. NuFi claims they spent like a year or something perfecting their Ghost Bar. And well, I don't know that I would necessarily need a year to come up with something like this personally. They did do a good job of it, and it does sound really nice. And it is certainly my favorite sounding spacebar of 2023. And should you want to get a Ghost Bar, you can actually pick it up on its own. You can buy just the Spacebar from NuFi. I think they have a bunch of different colors. So if you wanted to take that and put it on one of your other keyboards, you could totally do that. And that brings us to the actual end of this video. My top keyboards of 2023. So to run things down one more time, the winners this year, the awardees are Best Budget Keyboard goes to the Zoya GMK 67 kit. I think it's a fantastic entry-level kit if you're looking for an inexpensive but fully featured kit to get into the hobby. The GMK 67 is an awesome option around the $50 to $60 price point that you can currently get it at. Best portable keyboard this year, I'm awarding to the Low-Free Flow, which sounds phenomenal, which looks amazing, and is incredibly svelte. Its extreme portability and its beautiful construction, high quality components, and satisfying user experience. In addition to it's just a great shape and weight for carrying around. Make it my top portable pick of 2023. In the best looking category, the very stiff competition, but I had to give it to iQnix's Super Tilly 60, a beautiful modern industrial design that pairs so nicely with these MT3 Cyber keycaps from Drop. In the best sounding category, well, we've listened to a lot of very nice keyboards here today, but the best of them all for me is Wind Studios. Wind Studios Sign 65. A perfectly marbly, clack-thocky typing experience. Again, a kit, so your mileage may vary on how it sounds and feels for you, but in this configuration with the ePBT Glacier keycaps and the SOTC raindrop switches, my favorite sounding keyboard of the year. And finally, the best all-rounder, not necessarily the best keyboard of the year, but the best balance of things, the best all-rounder goes to Melgeek's Modern 97. It's the right balance of price and sound and feel and aesthetics and functionality, and it's earned a long-term spot on my desk this year, which makes it an excellent all-rounder. That is that, my friends, and I do hope that somewhere in there you might have seen something that you found intriguing, maybe something that you would like to pick up for a friend, for family, or for yourself over the holiday season here. Once again, I'll have links for all of these down below in the video description. Some of them, I should stress, might not be available at the time of publication. For example, my favorite sounding keyboard of the year, the Sign 65. This was a group buy, and that group buy has ended at the time of recording. So whether Wind Studios is going to release it again, run a second round of that group buy in the future, or whether they have some back stock, I don't know. But you might have a hard time getting your hands on it. Similarly for Qnix's Super Tele 60, I know that they did have some stock to sell off. I think they might have sold through that in the last few days. I don't know that this is available at the moment, but you can keep your eyes open for it if it's something you're interested in. You can always consider looking for it, on the resale, like secondary market, if you're really smitten with it. Any of the pre-builts should be available, I would think. But anyway, I'll put all those links down there. Hopefully you'll be able to find what you're looking for. And I will stress one more time, despite the fact that I do look at and I get my hands on a lot of keyboards in a year compared to most people, it's still only a drop in the bucket compared to the number of keyboards that release every year. And I simply do not have the time or the means to, try them all out. So when I give a best of the year award, that is the best of the year in my experience of the boards I've tried. But there's always another year, and there's always more keyboards to check out. I've had a lot of requests to check out the latest keyboard from Razer. Lots of people giving that some very strong praise. So I might see if I can get my hands on that in the new year to check it out. And as I mentioned, I do have a stack of keyboards over here from the likes of, what have we got here? Monsgeek, Red Dragon, and others. Some really good stuff over there that looks very interesting, which I will hopefully be getting around to in the coming months, so that we can do this all over again next year, next December. But for the meantime, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me for this video. I hope you found this informative, but of course, above all, I hope you found it relaxing. And I look very forward to having you back here next time. Farewell for now, my friends. Oh, I bet you thought we were done, didn't you? Didn't you? Well, not quite, not quite. And perhaps you knew that we weren't quite done, actually, depending on whether you regularly make it to the special thanks part of the video. This is the part where I thank our amazing supporters on Patreon and YouTube memberships for kindly supporting what I do here on the YouTube channel. They provide financial support by signing up for one of these tiers that you see here. There are different perks available for people who sign up at different tiers. If you would like to get early access to my weekend videos, any of these tiers will do. If you would like to also vote in a monthly poll to select the topic of a video on my channel, then the Foos Row and above tiers get that privilege. And at the very highest tier, the Foos Row tier, those amazing folks get their names read out in a special spoken shout out in each and every one of my videos. And that is what you are about to hear right now. It is my great pleasure to give you our Foosro tier supporters for this video, starting with Ragnar Ragnarsson, Captain Vanquisher, Rango Steel, K Time, Odinson, Drummer Brit, and Jake Luffney. Fantastic folks. I cannot thank them enough. I cannot express my gratitude for how amazingly supportive they are and how much that means to me. And that goes for everybody that you see on this list. They are all so kind, and it not only supports me financially, which I appreciate very much, but it also supports me emotionally, if that makes sense. It means a lot to me that people care so much about what I do, that they really want to be there to sort of cheer me along. It's really, really special. But I'm getting all misty-eyed here. If you, dear viewer or listener, would like to be one of those people cheering me on and supporting me financially and gaining access to some of these fun perks, please consider taking a look at the links down in the video description, where I'm sure you will find a tier that is right for you. Once again, a big ol' thank you to our amazing channel supporters.